This is Scott Becker with the Becker Private Equity and Business Podcast. Today's discussion is about investing in tech startup companies, 5 quick thoughts. So when I look at investing in tech startup companies, I've invested in about a dozen of them, so bear with me. And the experience is all over the place in terms of success versus not successful, probably more non-success than successes at this point, but we'll see how it goes. But here's what we look at. We look at, first, the thesis of the company leadership. What is the company thinking? What's their perspective? What are they trying to solve? And what does their leadership look at? Those are the first things that I look at. Their thesis, their plan, and their leadership. The second thing I think about is, are they devoted to development right away, to getting things developed right away? So that's number 2. The third thing is, do they look at development as a never-ending saga? It's not a start point and an end point. It's for everything of improving the product. So it's constant improvement of the product forever. It's always a work in process. The fourth thing I look at is, and these things I would say, fourth and fifth is test and commercialization. Fourth is they've got to be willing to constantly test the product, not so early that they're going to turn off customers, but they got to be able to test very quickly, very regularly, very often. And many people get paralyzed because they don't want to test, so they're afraid they won't like how the tests come out. But pretty early on, they got to start testing against real users or beta users, site users, to see what it's going to look like. Are people really going to like it or not like it? And this is very important. And then you can go back to improving it and constantly improving it, which developing, testing, improving, and realizing improvements forever. The fifth concept is commercialization. And this is the great challenge too. You got to commercialize early and often to make sure you're hitting a spot in the market that really works. And the fine line on this is, if you commercialize too early and people don't like your product, they may never give it another shot. So it's got to be sharp enough, strong enough, close enough, and they've got to see real commitment from the company to constant improvement of it. So whoever tests it to begin with, where you're commercializing it early, they've got to know it's a work in process, but they also have to know you have the depth of team to constantly improve. Then they're willing to test it and not look at it so askance when you get started with it. There's an old adage: you can't commercialize too early, but you also have to be careful. You can't wait very long. There's an old adage in golf: if you're a bad golfer, somebody who's a good golfer will golf with you once, but you better enjoy that round, because they probably won't golf with you again for another 10 years. And this goes a little counter to this concept of commercializing early, but you have to commercialize so early and really test so early, but at the same time recognize that if you don't hit that test okay, or show the right level of support with that testing, those same customers won't be your customers, won't give you a second look until you really gain critical mass and get much further along. So there's this concept of test and commercialize early, develop early, what's your thesis and what's your leadership, and make sure you view the development process, the improvement process, as a lifelong effort. It's one of the reasons why Apple and Microsoft are so successful, Amazon so successful. They're constantly improving everything about their user experience, everything about their commercialization, about their products. But it's a constant, any software company. Again, those are 5 thoughts on investing into early stage software companies. What's their thesis and their leadership? Are they developing early with great engineers? Are they testing regularly? Are they commercializing early? And do they constantly believe that everything is a work in process, everything's got to be improved for the life of the product? Those are our 5 thoughts on investing in tech startup companies. Again, I've had moderate success, some good, some bad, but fascinating to watch. I find it fascinating to watch this. Thank you for listening. If you like this, send me a comment, 773-766-5322, or send me a comment on LinkedIn at Scott Becker. If you're the first person to comment and send me a comment on my text, 773-766-5322, I will send you a $100 gift certificate. You got to be the first. You can't be a bot. Thank you so much for listening to the Becker Private Equity Business Podcast. This will be released January 30th, 2024. Thank you for listening.